Well, part of the problem is that the young people aren't taught today to be patriotic. Their parents don't encourage it, and the schools don't teach it. They don't say the Pledge of Allegiance anymore in school, and when they're teaching about history, sometimes the teaching is basically upside down, where the people that are the bad guys are made out to be the good guys, and vice versa. For instance, we asked our 14-year-old grandson about Lincoln, and he said Lincoln was bad to the Indians. Now, when I grew up, it was Lincoln freed the slaves. So it just shows you the gist of the new culture in California schools. And you know, there's now a problem with the critical race theory that they're trying to put into California schools, and there are groups like AMSHA which are trying to fight it. But the teachers union is very strong, and the cancel culture is very strong now. So it may be possible that when kids are learning about their own race, they're taught not to like it.
Yeah, or to erase the history, as you mentioned about Lincoln, that they're trying to erase the history and discredit people of with a historic perspective.
Right. And you know, another thing is that after President Obama was elected, I thought that was really the last hurdle and the last thing that we would hear about race in this country. And now, for some crazy reason, it's come back. People like Bert and I were considered racist because we voted for a certain president, or because we like to wear red, white, and blue and be patriotic. And it's very wrong. So.
One of the things that really bothers me is the issue of freedom of speech. My wife got eliminated from the Nextdoor app because she expressed negative views about Black Lives Matter. I remember when I was young, in my 20s and 30s, I befriended a man who was the legal director of the ACLU, and he represented the American Nazi Party. At that time, we felt that although they were marching through Skokie, Illinois, an area where many Holocaust people lived, that still we had to defend the right to free speech of a despicable man like the head of the Nazi Party. Now, flash forward to 2021, and a duly elected president of the United States was denied his freedom of speech. A senator, Josh Hawley, was denied his freedom of speech. And something we took for granted is now very much in danger, and we have to allow freedom of speech. The other day, my brother, who is a liberal, commented about a liberal person, Bill Maher, who spoke out against canceling freedom of speech. And I respect him, even though I'm a conservative and he's a liberal. He's a true liberal because he's defending the right to speech. As they say, I may not agree with you, but I'll defend to the death your right to say what you wish to say, and that's an essence of freedom of speech.
So that freedom of speech has been exploited by many haters, and now we see anti-Semites and conspiracy theorists, crazy conspiracy theorists who now have large followings. Is there a risk to having too much unchecked dialogue, as some of the new conservative networks are now offering?
I think we have to allow freedom of speech, and it has to be an absolute. What we used to say is you couldn't specifically and directly incite violence. You cannot say, I want you to go out and kill somebody. But you can certainly say, as our president said, march patriotically and peacefully to the Capitol. And that's not incitement, and that should have been allowed as freedom of speech.
Absolutely. What do you think about the distortion of what occurred at the Capitol demonstrations? How the media is now? Do you notice a change in media, Marcia? Would like to say?
It's not only the change in media; it's the fact that they have tried to prosecute and persecute people just because they came from California to Washington, D.C. to attend a rally. They don't have any proof of what they did. Indeed, the whole situation of January 6th is really muddled because the press wants to prosecute and persecute President Trump and all of his followers. And you can see how the media, as far as YouTube and Facebook, they have actively banned people that are conservative, patriotic, followers of President Trump, or even people that criticize President Trump. If they were conservative, they have to be banned. And a good example is Dennis Prager and his YouTubes. He did a YouTube on Moses, and they wouldn't allow it. So
and the Ten Commandments,
and
too.
the Ten Commandments, and they took him off YouTube.
And their rationale was because one of the Ten Commandments had to do with "Thou shalt not kill," and so they decided that couldn't be on YouTube, and they've literally stopped many tens of his videos from going on YouTube, and these are distinguished academics that he has been stopping. So it's another example of the key issue, that freedom of speech, open marketplace of ideas, and let's debate it out. And this use of the word hate to stop what we don't like has been very, very, very exaggerated. And specifically, you can't specifically ask people to be violent. That and that alone you can't do. Just like you can't yell fire in a crowded movie theater. That you cannot do. But if you say somebody's a scoundrel, there's no problem with that. Let's have the debate.